Hey, what's up? We are ready for Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to spending some time with you guys, hanging out, answering your voiceover business and marketing questions as always. And I see some of you already here. Bev, Uncle Roy, Laura, great to see you guys. Thanks for jumping in on the live stream. It's going to be fun today. So I wanted to start off with something. Every week I try to start off with something. Well, we're waiting for people to jump in and waiting for questions to come. And what's something that I can help you with? What's some actionable advice that I can give you? And so I thought I'm going to give you a couple of quick and easy LinkedIn tips that might help you in how you use the platform. So let's take a look at LinkedIn. So there's a couple of things that I want to share with you. So the first thing we're going to do is I want you to look right here. So Patrick happens to be on my screen, creating professional voiceover recordings. Okay, this line right here is what is called the headline. And that is what people are going to see when you're scrolling through your news feed. Everybody's going to see a headline. Chris Tester, voice actor. Okay, look. Alicia Bake, the voice you can trust, voice actor. So it says it right in her headline. Cody Sanchez investing millions in Main Street businesses. Okay, so that tells you right off the bat what Cody's all about. Tom, I'm a choice voice solution for voiceover. It's really important that you've got a really great headline on LinkedIn because if you're popping up in somebody's feed, that's going to be their first impression. That's going to be the only thing that they see. We know that Shantae is an instructional designer. Very clear, very obvious. But every once in a while, you'll see a headline that leaves you scratching your head and saying, I wonder what this person does. I don't fully understand what this person does. So you want to make sure you've got a great headline. And you also have a limited number of characters, so you want to make sure that your headline doesn't get cut off in a really awkward spot. So creating professional voiceover recordings from okay, that's not bad. It got cut off, but at least we know that Patrick is creating professional voiceover recordings. So if you come up to your little icon up here on the right side, and you're going to open your profile, and then if you click this little pencil icon right here, scroll down to headline. This is where you can put in your headline. Make sure that you have a headline that makes it abundantly clear who you are and what you do so that when somebody sees you popping up in their newsfeed, whether it's somebody that's connected with you or not, they're going to know exactly who you are and what you do. So this is a really easy thing to edit, and it is one of the most important features of your LinkedIn profile. So that's number one. That's the headline. Number two is actually right here when you go to your profile, your public profile and URL. So you can see that if you go to linkedin.com/in/Marc Scott voiceover. So I see a lot of voice actors that have not set a custom URL. The custom URL makes it easier to share. And there are arguments to be made that the custom URL might also have an impact on SEO, which is why my custom URL is Marc Scott voiceover and not just Marc Scott. So again, from your profile, click that pencil icon, and right here in the top corner, edit your custom URL. You're able to click this pencil right here, and you can change your custom URL. A lot of people don't do this, and so then you end up with a profile that might be like your name and then followed by 17 different numbers. And so it's not nearly as easy to share, but it also does nothing for you from an SEO standpoint. So you're definitely going to want to make sure that you have set your custom URL, something that's pretty easy to do. Here's another one I want to show you because this is one that I don't think a lot of people know about. So we're going to click on Network. And you can see invitations. Apparently, I've got a lot of invitations, 137 invitations that are currently waiting. So we're going to click See All. So your number is obviously going to look different, but you click that See All and then come over here to Sent. These are all invitations that I have sent that have not been accepted. And so these go back 6 months. So these invitations are just sitting, kind of like when I go over to, let me just bring it back here again, kind of like here, how I've got 137 invitations that are waiting. The people that are at the very bottom of the list, I may never get to them. It's really tough. I got a lot of connection requests coming in on a regular basis. The same could be said for the people that you're trying to connect with. So again, let me just show you again, go to Network, and then click to See All, and then Sent. Now you'll notice withdraw. There's a button here for withdraw. So you can go down to invitations that you sent. Maybe you sent them several months ago and you decide that you want to withdraw that invitation. So we're going to click withdraw. If you withdraw right now, you won't be able to resend to this person for up to 3 weeks. So make a note of the person that you're withdrawing the invitation from. Do the withdraw. In 3 weeks, come back. You can send that invitation again, only now your invitation is going to show up at the top of their list. So that's another pro tip that a lot of people don't know about. So that's 3. But you know me, I've always got to have a bonus. If I'm going to do a top 3 or a top 5 or a top 10, I've always got to have a bonus. So let me give you one more. Click to your profile and scroll down to where you see the section for recommendations. One of the reasons why I really love this section is because if I can get people to submit a recommendation through LinkedIn, now I've got that testimonial sitting right there on my LinkedIn profile, but I can just as easily copy and paste it and put it into a graphic that I can share on other social media channels, or copy the text, paste it onto my website. So I've got a testimonial to put on my website. But if I reach out to somebody via email and ask them for a testimonial, and they send me the testimonial via email, I don't really have an easy way to get it onto my LinkedIn profile. So I actually like to use this. So what you might not know is that you can click this little plus button right here and click ask for a recommendation. All you have to do is type in the person's name that you want to ask for the recommendation for, click continue. Another screen will pop up and it will say, how do you know them? How did you work together? And you just click a couple of boxes and then it will send an invitation to them through their inbox, asking them to leave a recommendation for you. And if they click that link and leave the recommendation, boom, you'll have a recommendation that will pop in right there. So there's a couple of LinkedIn pro tips for you as a fun way to get started here on Free Advice Friday. So hopefully you find those things helpful, and at least one of them will make a difference in how you are using LinkedIn. Cindy says it will help, Mark, if everyone would hit the like icon. Please hit the like button and make sure that you subscribe as well so that you are always getting notified whenever I'm going live for Free Advice Friday or anything that I happen to be doing. You'll get notifications of new videos popping up on the channel as well. So thank you for that, Cindy, and thank you to everyone for hitting the like button. I certainly do appreciate it. So, you know what we're doing here. This is Free Advice Friday. This is your opportunity to ask questions and get answers on the business and marketing side of voiceover. If you have a question that you would like to ask, do me a favor, put a Q beside it when you type it into the comments. And it just makes it a little bit easier for me to see because there's a pretty busy comment stream that gets going as we get into the live stream. And those Qs just make it a little bit easier for me to find the questions and hopefully make sure that I'm not missing any questions. Starting with Laura. Really enjoyed yesterday's podcast, Mark. What AI tools are you using and are they free or subscription based? I'm using several different tools and some of them are free and some of them are subscription based. The number one tool that I'm using right now, ChatGPT. Hands down, I'm in ChatGPT almost on a daily basis. And I am using ChatGPT primarily I'm using it as a brainstorming buddy. When I've got an idea that I need to flush out a little bit, or I've got an idea that I want to be able to expand on, I am using ChatGPT to help me to do that. And it has been incredible. And just keep in mind, I'm not only using it for my voiceover business. The other day, I had tilapia and broccoli and rice in my fridge, I think. And I went into ChatGPT and I literally typed, I have tilapia and rice and broccoli. Give me some recipe suggestions. And it came up with this really great stir fry recipe. And so, you know, I found some other things that I had sitting around and made a stir fry with tilapia, which is something I never would have thought to do before. And so there's a lot of other ways that I'm using it outside of voiceover, but it's definitely one of the most popular tools that I'm using. From a voiceover standpoint, a lot of it for me is with my content, helping me to come up with ideas for social media posts, helping me to come up with ideas for the podcast, topics that I might be able to explore on the podcast. And then taking that a step further, when I have somebody that I'm going to bring on the podcast, every once in a while, I get ChatGPT to help me to come up with some interview questions or coming from an angle that I might not have previously thought of. And so that's one of the free tools that I'm using. And like I said, I'm using that almost every day. There's another one that I'm using in Adobe Premiere. It's a paid subscription. the tool. It's called Autopod, I believe. I can tell you right now that the video version of the podcast would not exist without Autopod. A lot of people had been asking me to do a video version of the podcast. People kept bugging about it. I kept resisting because obviously I've got so much on my plate already. And it's like, do I really need one more thing that I need to be doing right now? And I didn't. And somebody introduced me to Autopod. I believe it was Peter Kirsting, another voice actor. What Autopod does is when I do the podcast, I get 3 video feeds. So there's the feed with me, there's the feed of my guest, and then there's the feed of the two of us side by side. With Autopod, I'm able to click a button, and in about 8 seconds, it will take a 1-hour interview and cut it all up, almost fully edited, so that when I'm talking, I'm on screen. When my guest is talking, my guest is on screen. And every once in a while, the two of us are on screen beside each other. And that's literally like 2 hours of editing time for me, because I'm not a great video editor. That's done in about 8 seconds, courtesy of Autopod. So that's one of the paid tools that I'm using. But I am always on the lookout. I'm on a couple of different AI newsletters, and I'm reading those on a daily basis, not only to keep up with what's going on in the space, but also to learn how to use it better. The episode that Laura was speaking about, a great episode with Donna Vincent Roa. Donna's a voice actor, but she's also a certified prompt engineer. She works for the U.S. government. And the episode, Make AI Your Personal Assistant, she gives so many incredible practical use cases for how voice actors can be using AI, tools like ChatGPT, to help us be more productive and more efficient with our businesses. So that episode is available right here on the YouTube channel, or of course, wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So I would absolutely encourage you to check it out because, man, there are things that just would not happen in my business if I didn't have access to tools like that. It's helping me. I think when we think about AI and voiceover, we just strictly think about voice cloning, which is something that I have not really embraced yet. I'm still researching it because ultimately I will embrace it. But it's not just about that. There are so many other ways that you can be using these tools to help you. And the reality is, for a lot of us, we've been using some of these tools for years. We just didn't know it because it wasn't specifically identified as AI. If you've ever used Google or Alexa or Siri, you've used AI. Algorithms that feed you content on social media are basically forms of AI. Do you remember when you still have to do this, when you have to verify that you're a human and you got to pick out, like, the grid pops up and you got to pick 3 fire hydrants? You were training AI for years while you were picking out the 3 fire hydrants. So this is stuff that's been around. It's not like it's just brand new. It's just that now that it's so much more mainstream, we're much more aware of it. People are much more nervous about it. But I'm telling you, there are ways that you can use it to make you better in your business. And I genuinely believe that the people who embrace that are going to have an advantage. And so I want to be one of those ones, as Donna and I talked about in the episode. I don't want to get left behind. All right. Echo, a common refrain I get from authors is, I would love to hire a narrator, but I don't know how to market my book. I have lots of experience with theater marketing, not books. How can I, there was a part 2, how can I cross-apply my marketing skills to this new domain so I can be more attractive to these great authors, but not great self-promoters? Interesting question. Trying to figure out how to promote an audiobook. So what I would say is you're taking some of those same principles that you apply to marketing your voiceover business. It's just that you're targeting a different audience now. So as a voice actor, you want to generate voiceover opportunities for yourself, and you're going to look at, what are the tools that I have available? What are the genres that I'm interested in? So I want to take my e-learning demo so I can do more e-learning work. Okay, well, who's my audience for that? Well, my audience for that would be production companies that are creating e-learning content, possibly instructional designers, e-learning developers at individual companies. And so those are the people that I'm going to focus on. Those are the people that I want to reach out to. I want to connect with those people on LinkedIn. I want to post content that's relevant to them across LinkedIn and some of my other social media platforms so that I can start to build relationships with these people and get recognized with these people. I think you probably have to ask yourself that same question as an author. Who is the audience for my book? And how do I go where those people are and get in front of them? But it's also not just about signing up for a group. When you've written a book to help stay-at-home moms keep their sanity during the day, and this is a topic that's very real to me because my wife, I'm trying to keep her sane during the day. You can't just go into stay-at-home mom groups and be like, hey, I've got this great book. You want to go into those groups and start joining those conversations, and then eventually people will want to know more about you, and then you can tell them about this book. I think another way that would be really good for an author, and this would be something that you could suggest as well, again, identifying your audience and then figuring out who are the podcasters in that space. Who are the YouTubers in that space? Who are the influencers in that space? And how can I partner with or collaborate with those people to help get the word out? And so I think those are a couple of suggestions that you could make to potentially help them to get in front of some more people. Cindy says, I've been so reluctant to use ChatGPT. I need to get out of myself more often. You know what? I was a late adopter in that I didn't download it for the first few months. And now I use it for everything. So here's again, not just using it for my voiceover business. We have a garden. It's in the back part of our lot. So we live in town, but we've got about a half-acre lot in town, which is very unusual. But the back part of our yard is this big, gorgeous garden, which my wife and I have neither the time or the expertise to maintain. So the first few years that we were in this house, the garden was absolutely incredible. It was a retired couple that we bought the house from. They were hardcore gardeners. They built this just incredible oasis. We could have sold tickets to this garden. And over time, it got out of our hands. Too much going on. The boo came along, then the bean came along. There's only so much that we can do. So in order to try to reclaim some of that space, I bulldozed about a third of the garden in the last week or so, which is a pretty good-sized area. I would say it's probably about a 25 by 30, 25 by 35 foot area. And I was trying to figure out what can I do in this space. And so I literally go into ChatGPT just for fun, just because I like to tease my wife about stuff every once in a while. I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, I got a 25 by 35 foot area in my backyard where I would love to build a mini putt course. Can you help me design a mini putt course? And so then it designs this mini putt course. It tells me exactly it's going to be this many holes. Each hole is going to be this big, blah, blah, blah. And I said, this is fantastic. Can you actually create a blueprint for me? So then it spits out a blueprint of how I'm going to lay out the holes in the space in my backyard. And I say, this is really helpful. Can we take this one step further? Can you actually walk me through the construction process of building this mini putt course? And it literally walks me through step by step. And this all happened in the span of about 3.5 minutes. It's just crazy what you can do with this technology. So Cindy, I would say it's time to start playing around. Big B says, is there a way to contact LinkedIn support without logging in? I cannot log in, and it seems like you have to log in. Ooh, that's a really good question. Let's see. I'm going to actually type it in right now. Contact LinkedIn support, and I'm going to see if I can get an email address or something, because I think you probably have to be logged in. I mean, there's this page here, which I now, granted, I'm logged in right now, but it doesn't actually give me an email address, but it just gives me the option to create a support ticket. Due to higher than normal volumes, it may take longer to hear back from a support agent. It looks like that might be the only option. So it's possible that you might have to be logged in. Yeah, it looks like maybe you do, which would be really dumb, because if you have your account taken over, you've lost your password or something like that, then you might have a problem. But that's not very helpful, is it? Oh, here's the thing. This says this is a phone number for LinkedIn customer support. I don't know if this is accurate or not, but hey, it's worth a shot. We'll see. What happened to your AI voice? I remember a few years back when you were doing hours of recording. Yeah, so once upon a time, there was a company called Vocal ID. Some of you may be familiar with them. And I did. I was one of the first people to do an AI voice with them. It actually got booked for one job. And then Vocal ID obviously got purchased by Veritone. Those of you that are familiar, you know what I'm talking about. And honestly, I don't know what the deal is with my voice anymore. Because I reached out multiple times to try to get some answers, ask some questions. Never was able to get any kind of response from anybody at any point. So my guess is that it is probably just shelved in a server room somewhere at this point. But I've heard nothing on it for probably close to 2 years now. So I don't know. Honestly, I wish I had a better answer, but I actually can't get answers. So I'm not sure what the story is with it right now. Production company CEO messaged me through LinkedIn about a possible job. I contacted his production manager, but only got a weird generic response. Sent him and her, but no response. What do I do now? Yeah, you know what? There's not a whole lot that you can do other than you've got nothing to lose by sending another follow-up. At the end of the day, they're already not hiring you, so you really have nothing else to lose at this point. There's nothing at risk. You know, you don't specifically have the job, so it's not like if you contact them one more time, you're going to lose the job. So I think that you send another quick follow-up, and then you let it go. And I think this is probably one of the hardest parts for voice actors, because anytime that somebody reaches out with us for a possible project, we immediately get excited, obviously. But then if we don't book the job, we immediately go to a very dark place. And we start asking, like, what did I do wrong? What did I say wrong? Maybe it was my quote. Maybe it was my demos. Maybe it was my website. Maybe they don't like me. You know, maybe I'm wearing a purple shirt and they hate purple. Like, and we just go to these dark, dark places. And the reality is maybe they sent that email to 15 other voice actors at the exact same time and somebody else responded first and they hired them. Or maybe they sent that email out, but then the next day the client came back and said, actually, we want to go in a different direction. We're looking for this instead. Like, there's a million reasons why that job didn't pan out. Something I will say though, and I mean, if you guys have followed me for any length of time, I cannot beat in the importance of the follow-up enough. And I listened to a really interesting podcast last week, Lewis Howes podcast. I love listening to Lewis Howes, School of Greatness, if you've never checked it out. I can't remember who he was interviewing because it was one of these episodes where it was like greatest hits from several episodes from the past. But anyway, one of the people that he was interviewing was like a CEO of like a multi-million-dollar company or something like that. And he specifically talked about follow-up. And he said one of the things that he will do is he'll receive emails and he'll intentionally not respond to them just to see whether or not the person will follow up. Because for him, that's a test. If you don't follow up, maybe you don't care. If you don't follow up, maybe you're not trying that hard. If you don't follow up, maybe you were never really interested in the first place. But if you do follow up, maybe you're more committed. And if you follow up more than once, maybe you're a go-getter and you're really committed. Maybe you're really professional and maybe you're really good at your job. And so he actually uses it as a test. And I think it's really important that we need to get that mentality ourselves, because our mentality is that follow-ups are bad, follow-ups are annoying, follow-ups are going to piss people off, follow-ups are going to cost us opportunities, follow-ups are going to make us feel, are going to make us look like we're needy, follow-ups are going to make us look like we're desperate. And I say that's BS. Follow-ups make you look like you're professional. Follow-ups make you look like you care. Follow-ups make you look like you're trying. Follow-ups make you look like you're committed to your business. And so if you're targeting the right people, I would never sweat sending a follow-up. And at the end of the day, if I send somebody some follow-ups and then they write me back and like, we don't need you. Well, great. That's the answer I need. At least now I have an answer. I can stop focusing on that person, start focusing on somebody else. So don't ever be afraid to send the follow-ups. Guys, if you're enjoying Free Advice Friday so far, do me a favor, hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. The more likes I get, apparently the more love I get from the YouTube algorithm. And trust me, when you're as far down the YouTube food chain as I am, every like helps. It might be the difference between 12 people watching this video and 14 people watching this video. And that's a pretty big deal. Want to remind you, Voiceover Marketing Playbook is coming back again. It's going to be out in July. Never done this before, so I'm excited to do it. I got convinced by some people who I trust that I should be doing this in July. So Playbook is back next week for a limited release, July 9th to the 12th. If you haven't done it already, go to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Okay, go to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Sign up in this box on voiceovermarketingplaybook.com and get on the wait list. Last night, I was putting together the details of an exclusive pre-sale offer. This pre-sale offer will not be made public. You will only find out about this pre-sale offer if you are on the Playbook wait list. I just want to pull up because I have it written down. I don't remember the numbers because I only put it together last night. I was doing this at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So with Playbook Complete, which is the top package of Playbook, the pre-sale will give you an extra $1,091 in value. An extra $1,091 in value, which means you're basically doubling what you're getting for your money. So that's just Playbook Complete. There are bonuses for Playbook Plus and Playbook Basic as well. But again, the only way you're going to find out about those is to get on the wait list. So go to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com, get on the wait list. That email will go out on July 8th. The pre-sale will be made available to anybody on the wait list, and that will happen on July 8th. So, what else do you want to talk about? What other questions can I answer for you? Let me keep scrolling through the chat here. You talk about marketing follow-ups, but this guy reached out to me for a potential job. Not me. Seems non-spammy, but I don't know what to do now. You send a follow-up. Hey, Bob. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate you reaching out about this potential opportunity. Are there any other questions that I can answer for you? Hey, Bob, I appreciate you reaching out to me about this opportunity. Would be happy to submit a custom audition if you'd like to hear what my voice sounds like on this project. Hey, Bob, really appreciate you reaching out to me about this opportunity. Would you be interested in scheduling a Zoom call so that we can have a quick conversation to talk through the details of the project? Like, there's literally a dozen different things that you could say in a quick, simple follow-up message in that particular use case. This is not going to come across as spammy. It's just going to come across as you following up and staying on top of your business and staying on top of the potential opportunities for your business. Again, if you do have questions that you would like to ask and get answered, feel free to type your question in the comments. I'm here to try to answer as many voiceover business and marketing questions as I possibly can. When you type your question in the comments, just put that Q beside it. That way it pops out on my screen, a little bit easier for me to see, but certainly happy to answer as many questions as I can. Kay said, reworking my website and looking for good audio demo player, free if possible. Do you have any recommendations? I don't know any specific free players off the top of my head. I am obviously a huge fan of VoiceSam. That's the player that I use. Now, obviously, that player is not free, but I also think that it's worth every dime that I spend on it every month. If you go to voicesam.com/Marc Scott to sign up, you can get a credit on VoiceSam. But let's go back to the original question. I don't know of any specific free players, but I'll tell you a couple of things that I think are really important. Number one, will it play easily across any device and browser? You got to test this because there are demo players out there, or audio players, we'll call them audio players, that are out there that don't function the same way on desktop as they do on mobile, for example. Or they might work really great in Chrome, but not work as well in Safari. And so, number one, does it function across any device and browser? Will it work on an iPhone and an Android phone? Will it work on a Windows PC? Will it work on a MacBook Pro? Will it work on an iPad? I need to know that. And the other thing is, will it make the demos downloadable? Every once in a while, I will help a client with a casting because they're asking for something that I can't deliver. Sometimes that means that I'm reaching out to people that are in my network and saying, hey, can you submit this audition? Or hey, can you send me your demo? But sometimes they're on a tight turnaround. Sometimes it's a, I need this by tomorrow type deal. And so I might go into my CRM and look for 6 or 8 voice actors who fit that role, and I'll go to their website. And if I can download your demos, you're in. And if I can't download your demos, you're not in. Nothing personal. It's just that sometimes I need it fast. And if I can't get it, then you're going to miss out on the opportunity. So for me, I need to be able to know that I can download your demos. Let's see. What else you guys want to talk about? So I would say those things. Keep those things in mind when you're looking for a demo player, and specifically if you're going to find a free demo player, make sure that it can do those things. Let's see what else. Thomas says, how do I market myself as a VO talent that is SAG-AFTRA? I don't have an agent. Do you recommend places like Actors Connection or one-on-one to meet agents? I think that the number one thing that I would be looking at would be, there are certain major centers where they're much more likely to hire union talent. So obviously California, in the LA area in particular, New York City, Chicago. There are certain places where they're much more likely to be hiring union talent. So I think that you could potentially target your marketing specifically based on that. Obviously, there are certain types of work that are much more likely to be union. And so you could market yourself in those genres that are much more likely to be union. Pursuing an agent, if that's something that you're ready for, you've got the demos for, you've got the chops for, pursuing an agent can certainly be to your favor. Online casting sites, some of them do offer audition opportunities that are eligible for, that are SAG eligible or that are union jobs. The other thing that I would think about is I would spend some time, if you haven't done this already, I would spend some time doing a deep dive into how to convert non-union to union, how to convert non-union voiceover to union voiceover. Because I think one of the reasons why voice buyers get scared is they don't understand the union. They automatically assume it's going to be way more expensive, or they assume that it's going to be a much more complex and complicated process. And so if you have a very deep understanding of that process of converting non-union to union, and you can hold their hand through that process, or you can break it down for them into 3 easy steps or something like that, that can make a difference as well, because then you don't have to limit where you can market yourself. You just have to be able to help them do that conversion in the event that you book jobs. And so I think that would be one of the other things that I would be taking into consideration. All right, let's see. Where else are we going? Do I need a political demo first before reaching out to producers, or is a commercial or narration demo sufficient? If you're specifically talking about reaching out to people in the political space, you are going to want a political demo. If for no other reason, every other person that is marketing in the political space right now has a political demo. And so you're never going to be able to stand out if you don't have one. Plus, let's be honest, commercial or political commercials are typically not the same as non-political commercials. Political commercials they can be pretty intense. Just one of the reasons why I don't do them. But yeah, if you're going to market, if you're specifically saying, I want to market myself for political voiceover, you're going to have that demo. Yes. All right, let's see. What else? Building a new website now, so need your advice. Should videos with my voice in it come first, or just audio playlists? I don't think that matters as much as everything needs to be labeled really well and really clear so that I know. So if you just put 8 different videos up on your website, but I'm not really sure what those videos are, that would be annoying for me. But if you put 8 videos on your website and each one of those videos makes it very clear that this is this type of read, this is that type of read, this is this type of read, then that's a different story, because now I can click through and listen to the one specifically that I want. That obviously is really easy to do with an audio player. So I think for me, that's the most important thing. It's not, is it audio first or video first? I mean, technically, I guess audio first because we're voiceover and I want them to focus on my voice. But I think no matter what you do, it's really important that it's really clear. What am I clicking on? What am I about to listen to? All right. What else is going on? How'd you guys do yesterday? Who had the best barbecue yesterday? What was on the smoker? What was on the grill? For those of you that were celebrating July 4th. Was it ribs? Was it brisket? Was it hot dogs? Hey, there's nothing wrong with hot dogs. Hot dogs can be delicious too. You want to know how hot dogs can be especially delicious? I'll give you the secret. Are you ready for this? Write this down. This is the ultimate hot dog, okay? Marc Scott's ultimate hot dog recipe. You heard it here first. So you take that hot dog bun, you lather that bad boy with mayonnaise, okay? Very key. Put the hot dog in there. You do 2 lines of ketchup, 1 line of mustard. I prefer honey mustard. Obviously, you can use the mustard of your choice. Then I'm topping it with diced tomatoes. I'm sticking a couple of pickles down the side and then grated cheese going across the top and hopefully melting in a little bit. That's how you make a hot dog. Just letting you know, in case you were curious. Bev says, on LinkedIn, should you use the framework OpenToWork? Yeah, you see these pictures. Everybody's got them on their profile pictures with the hashtag OpenToWork. I played around with it for about a year. I had it on my profile, and I did not see that it made any noticeable difference in any capacity. I think the differences with voice actors is we're open to work, right? Whereas if you are an HR specialist who's currently out of work and you're looking for work, and so I think it's more about the use case maybe in order for it to work the way that it's intended to work. But just from my own experience, again, I had that on there for a long time and I did not notice any advantage to it other than it made my profile picture have a green bar across it. And I don't like green. And so then, it hurt my feelings, made me feel bad. Why couldn't the bar be orange? I needed to be on brand, right? Felt a little discriminatory. No, just kidding. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that one. I agree with the cheese on the hot dog. Some of the others, maybe, I'm guessing you meant maybe not. Look, a hot dog is not a hot dog unless it's got pickles on it. I'm just telling you. Straight up, I'm just telling you. I don't even know what you're doing. Like, honestly, if there's not even pickles on it, why even bother eating a hot dog at that point? You might as well eat some carrot sticks. Like, come on, people. Trying to show you the way here. Hey, you came to me for free advice. I'm giving you free advice on how to make the ultimate hot dog. What is going on? All right. Uncle Roy says no, nope. Come on. What's wrong with you people? Genevieve, what? Mayo? Question mark? Come on. What? What do you mean? What? Of course mayo. Obviously mayo should be on everything. Mayo should be the first thing you put on your hamburger too. Come on. What is with you guys? I thought you knew what was up. I'm from the Chicago area and ketchup is forbidden on a real Chicago hot dog, but I think it's necessary. I mean, that's what you could get away with it by doing the tomatoes. Or look, here's the backup plan. If you happen to have some homemade Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce in your fridge, which generally speaking, I have homemade Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce in my fridge. Homemade Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce could absolutely take the place of ketchup. That is a completely worthy substitute for ketchup in putting together the ultimate hot dog. So, there you go. Russian Grammar says you forgot the onions. Hey, I'm okay. I'm okay with onions if you want to do some diced onions. I'm also okay. This is going to be weird, but radishes, thinly sliced radishes can work really well on a hot dog. Just saying. If you've never tried it, you should try it, especially if you like a little bit of heat in there. Just a little bit of heat in there. Thinly sliced radishes. That's where it's at. Wow. Did we ever get off the rails on Free Advice Friday? We need to bring it back, people. Bring it back. Bring it back to voiceover. I'm sorry. That was my fault. This is going to be really interesting for the people who watch the replay, though. What can I answer for you on Free Advice Friday? I see that Laura just put another comment in the chat about how to reach LinkedIn support. So give that a shot. Jenna says, I bought tickets to the One Voice Awards, unexpected nomination. So should I go for the black tie or punk? I don't think I have much punk in my wardrobe. Maybe it would make me stand out better. I can promise you right now, I got zero punk. I also am not really black tie guy. I think you should be authentic. I think you should be authentic to you because this is voiceover. And what does every single voiceover in the last 2 years, literally every single voiceover, regardless of the genre, every single voiceover that you've seen, every audition, every job, what do they say? They tell you to be authentic. So I think you should be authentic. Da-da-da. I'm from Tokyo, and we're known for great food here, but never tried a real hot dog. I have to try our hot dog. I'm telling you, it'll change your life. I'm just saying, it'll change your life. Look, next week's episode of the podcast, I interview David Kwikwi, and we're talking about data analysis and the ways that you can use data to help you to grow your voiceover business. But the first few minutes of that episode, we're talking food, and you're not going to want to miss it. I tell you about something I did with mac and cheese that'll blow your mind. That podcast got off the rails for a few minutes as well. So keep that one next week, next Thursday. It's coming out, so watch for it. Angela says, what is the best time to email or follow up with your marketing after or before a holiday? For me, I'm not doing anything a day or two before a holiday, generally speaking. I think it's just going to get lost in the inbox. For following up after a holiday, same deal. I'm probably going to wait about 2 days after a holiday. Just because the first day back after the holiday is when they're catching up on everything that came in while they were on holiday or while the holiday was happening. And so I want to give it a day or two after that. And then I feel like I've got a slightly better chance at standing out in the inbox. That is not based on science, by the way. That is just based on my own experience and sending a zillion emails. What's up, guys? And if you've got questions, I've got answers. That's how this works. If you got questions, I got answers. I can't always promise they're going to be good answers, but I can promise that I will always do my best to have an answer. So if there's something that you would like to ask, if there's a voiceover business and marketing question that you would like to ask, this is your opportunity to ask that question for Free Advice Friday. So go ahead, type it in the comments, put a Q beside it so that it's easy for me to see, and let's go. Let's answer some questions. Let's dispense some advice on Free Advice Friday. Just watched In a World last night for the first time. What are your thoughts about the industry at the time the movie was made and the current conditions? Believe it or not, I've never actually watched the movie. It's one of those ones where it never came on any of the streaming services in Canada. And so I never really had an opportunity to watch it. The industry is constantly in a state of evolution. And I think that the people who have been in the industry the longest, we've lived through multiple evolutions. Once upon a time, you sat at home and waited for your agent to call. And when your agent called, then you got in the car or the limo and you drove to the studio and you recorded the voiceovers. And then you came home and you waited for the checks to come and you collected all the residuals. And eventually your agent called and you went out and you did another audition. And the industry used to genuinely work that way. Then online casting showed up. You know, the internet was a disrupting factor for everything, including voiceover. So the internet comes along, online casting shows up. It disrupts the model. And now, instead of having to go through agents, advertising agencies, creative agencies, all of the different steps, all of the different hoops to jump through, the different middlemen to deal with, online casting comes in and democratizes things and makes it even more accessible. And now, if you have a microphone at home and a decent quiet space to record, you can get access to voiceover jobs instantly on the internet. And it's a beautiful thing. Online casting still works, but if I'm being honest, a couple of the online casting sites suck canal water. A couple of them screwed the pooch pretty hard. People started to get frustrated on both sides, voice buyer, voice seeker. And then some guy started teaching direct marketing and saying, hey, if there's buyers that are on online casting, I bet there's buyers who aren't on online casting. If we could only find a way to get in front of them. And so then this guy started teaching all about direct marketing. And now we removed another middleman. We removed the digital middleman because now you can have a direct conversation with the direct client directly. And it makes life even easier. And so that was a disruption that the industry has gone through. AI is going to be a disruption. How much of a disruption? I don't know yet. Is it going to take every job? I don't know yet. Do we need to be aware of it? Yes. Do we need to stay up to date with what's happening? Yes. Do we need to productively join the conversations around AI? Yes. Would that be better than putting up our pitchforks and protesting? Most likely. This industry is not unlike any other industry that's been disrupted. It always happens. It's just sometimes the disruptions are for you, and sometimes the disruptions feel like they're against you, and it's how you adapt to the disruptions that really matter. I feel like I should know this. How does it work reaching out to an actual company for VO versus the production companies that might handle them? Is this a no-no? I think that there are certainly use cases where you could reach out to a company directly. So let's say that there's a company that you know of that's got 500 people on staff, and they've got an in-house instructional designer, and you're thinking maybe they create their own e-learning content. So you want to reach out to that instructional designer directly and see if you can be the voice of their e-learning. Nothing wrong with giving that a shot. I have been, for about 4 years, I was the voice of I say startup. It was a startup for a while. Eventually it became not a startup, but I just happened to make the right connection at the right time. And for 4 years, I did every single brand video for this particular startup. And I was the voice of the brand. I was not working through a production company. They were doing things in-house, and I was working for them directly. And so I do think that there are use cases where that can happen. I think part of it is just assessing, can you determine, okay, it looks like this company's creating e-learning content, or, judging by this company's social media channels, they're making a lot of video content. So this is somebody that's worth reaching out to. So doing a little bit of research ahead of time, and then thinking about, who do I want to talk to? Is it somebody in HR? Is it somebody in marketing? Is it somebody in the training department? Is it the instructional designer? Is it somebody in IT to talk to about the telephone system and having the opportunity to do the IVR for a company? And so then like that it's just a matter of trying to find the right person and targeting the right person. I think there are use cases where that can work. Uncle Roy says it. Home studios came along and all hell broke loose. It's true. That was a massive disruption. That was, look, people don't ride horses to work anymore. I mean, if you're a cowboy, I suppose, but outside of that, most people don't ride horses to work anymore. We go in the car. Disruption happens. Industries change. Some of you are not old enough to remember this, but once upon a time, the telephones were attached to the wall, like literally screwed into the wall. And how far you could venture away depended on whether or not your parents bought the long cord. So you might actually have to stand right beside the telephone beside the wall because the cord was only 3 feet long, or you might have had one of the 20-foot cords that you actually stretched out to a 40-foot cord, and you could have the freedom to go and talk on the other side of the house, but then you still had to come all the way back to the kitchen to hang the phone up again. Disruption happens. Now your phone is in your pocket and you're like, what the hell are you talking about, Mark? I'm telling you, it was real. Google it. There are pictures. Disruption happens in every industry. Will you be ready for the disruption, or will you get left behind? That is the question. Will you be ready for the disruption, or will you get left behind? I know business cards are falling to the wayside, but if I were to order some, what should and shouldn't be on it? Are business cards falling by the wayside? I guess that depends entirely on how you're using them and how you're marketing yourself. If you're going to local networking events, if you're popping in on Chamber of Commerce meetings, if you're attending conferences that are filled with potential buyers, so you're an audiobook author going to an audiobook conference, or an e-learning narrator going to an e-learning conference, are there still use cases for business cards being handed out? 100% there are. As for what should be on them, I need to be able to look at that business card 6 weeks after we met and know who you are and what you do. And so if I go on there and your business card has your name, but it doesn't tell me what you do, that's a problem. Or if it has a company name and you've come up with some really fun, creative company name, and I talked about this in a Free Advice Friday a couple of weeks ago, that's great, but only if it tells me what you do. So I need it to be abundantly clear that it's Mark, and Mark's a voice actor. And how can I get in touch with Mark? I am a fan of QR codes on business cards. I think they work. I think they make life easier. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. I don't know why everybody's got such a hate on for QR codes, but the technology works. And so I think there's certainly a use case for that as well. But those are the most important things for me. If I look at this 6 weeks or 6 months later, will I know who you are and what you do? Was there a space for me to write a note of where we met? And is it abundantly easy for me to get in contact with you? Everything else after that, I think, probably becomes noise. Let's see. Look at you guys talking about the telephone cord. An extremely animated conversation could strangle you. It could strangle you and the other people in your house, depending on how long the cord was and how many rooms you had walked through and how many times you had looped around the door. It's very true. Those things could have been deadly if you weren't careful. Melanie says, hey, Mark, I sent a few emails on LinkedIn to producers that I'm not connected to and noticed my emails went to their in-mail, thinking these people may not look at their in-mail. Thoughts? The challenge with LinkedIn is there are people who check LinkedIn every day. There are people who check LinkedIn once a week. There are people who check LinkedIn once a month. There are people who check LinkedIn once a year. And sometimes it's hard to figure that out. I'm guessing in order to have been able to send in-mail, Melanie, are you a premium LinkedIn member or were you on a premium LinkedIn trial? Because generally speaking, on the free profiles, you can't send the in-mail. But the in-mail still shows up in their message box, like in their direct message box, just like any other message does. So if they haven't read it yet, it's a distinct possibility that they just are somebody who's not particularly active on LinkedIn or somebody who gets a lot of messages. But if you do have the ability to send a follow-up to that in-mail, it might bump it back up again in their inbox. And so it's certainly worth a shot. Angela says, what do you know about Alignable? What I know about Alignable is that one of the most flabbergasting facts of 2024, like of all the things that have gone on in the world, even after the presidential debate the other day and how shocking that was, the fact that Alignable still exists is one of the most shocking pieces of information that I've been presented with in 2024. And you're not the first person to present that piece of information to me. I genuinely had no idea that site still existed. Alignable, as far as I can tell, is a social media platform that launched without a clear purpose and a clear customer and a solution to a clear problem. They tried to be local LinkedIn, except that LinkedIn is already local LinkedIn and bigger. And so I think that I signed up for an Alignable profile in like 2017, 16, maybe. And I used it for about 15 minutes and then quit. Like I thought the rest of the world had. And then like, you're like the second person that's asked me this question this year. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Did you say Alignable? Are you trying to tell me that Alignable is still in existence in 2024? That is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing to me. Yeah, I mean, it's there, but I don't know that there's, I could be wrong, but I don't know that there's any value there. I think I would rather take my efforts and devote them to LinkedIn. Alignable. Dang, man. Yellow pages too. Yes, I suspected that you were premium, Melanie. Yeah, so it just goes into the inbox just like any other message does. It shows up with an in-mail thing on it, but it still just appears in the inbox. So it could just be that you've reached out to somebody who doesn't use LinkedIn on a regular basis, and so maybe they just haven't checked their messages yet. The first thing it did was send out a bunch of spam to everyone that you were connected to in the world. Yeah, so some of these social media platforms, what their growth strategy was, because obviously in order for a social media strategy to have any kind of value whatsoever, it has to have growth, and it needs to have growth very, very quickly. We need to get as many people as possible. And so when you sign up for a social media platform, one of the first things that usually pops up is, would you like to connect to your contact list? Never, ever, ever under any circumstances agree to that, because in a lot of cases, what is going to happen is they're going to auto text or auto email every single person in your entire contact list to try to get them to join the social media platform. It is a horrible business practice that has very much been outspoken against. It's backfired violently on several social media companies in the past, but there are still people who try to do it as a really quick growth hacking strategy. So always be cautious. Whenever you sign up for anything that asks for access to your contacts, just know, read the terms of service, but there's a distinct possibility that they're going to blitz your entire address book with an invitation to join whatever the thing is that you're joining. All right, what time is it? 1:55. I got time for another question. Just one more quick reminder, though. Playbook is back next week, July 9th to the 12th. Would love to have the opportunity to work with you on your marketing and helping you to embrace the beauty that is direct marketing and the possibilities and opportunities that it can bring by reaching out to people and establishing relationships directly with people who can benefit from your voice. A step-by-step, easy-to-follow marketing course. It's going to teach you how to find your own leads, build your own client base, and become the consistently working voice actor that you want to be. Again, as a reminder, if you haven't done it already, head over to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com, enter your name, enter your email address. You're going to get a free PDF called 6 Simple Marketing Tips, which is a really helpful guide that again give you a couple of different ways that you can start marketing your business now. But you're also going to be on the wait list for Playbook. You will get notified about that pre-sale offer. And remember, the one package alone gives you $1,000 in added value. Boom. But you've got to be on the wait list to find out about the pre-sale. All right, let's see. Anybody else got any other questions that I can answer for you? I apologize. There was no appearance from the Jelly Bean today. The Boo's nap time is 1 o'clock. So it's, when she's 12, she's not napping anymore. She can come on Free Advice Friday, but then she'll be in school. So one of these days, though, I'll make sure that you get to see the Boo again. But I'm not sure what's up with the Jelly Bean right now. They must have been busy. Mommy didn't bring her down this time. Loved the Playbook. Still reference the videos consistently. Thank you for that, TJ. I certainly appreciate it. Check it out. voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Anybody got one final question? If I missed your question, by the way, if you did ask a question and I didn't answer it, I do apologize. I certainly try to get to every question. Feel free to pop it into the chat if I missed it, and I'll keep an eye out for it. And I want to answer as many as I can. And I do apologize if I missed. I'm just kind of scrolling through here to see, did I miss anything? What are you guys doing this weekend? Anybody got exciting plans this weekend? I'm going on vacation starting next week, Wednesday. Going to be gone for a week. Looking forward to that. When you connect with industry people on LinkedIn, should you DM them ASAP? What do you do with the 1,000 connections that you never contacted? Too late to contact them now. Never too late to contact somebody, I don't think. So my process on LinkedIn, I send the connection request. Here, you know what? Let me do this. It'll be easier if I demonstrate. Let me pop this up here. We're going to come over here. We're going to go to LinkedIn. So when you send a connection request, if you click onto My Network, you go to Manage My Network, and you click on Connections. Whoever's appearing up at the top here, these are the most recent people that you have connected with. So when I send a connection request to somebody, I'm going to check this page every single day to see whether or not they've accepted my connection request. Once I can see that they have accepted my connection request, then you have the ability to send them a message. You cannot message, if you're on a free profile, you cannot send direct messages to people who you are not connected with, but you can send messages to people who you are connected with. So I want to check that page every day. find out whether or not anybody new has accepted my connection request. Anybody that has, that's when I'm going to send them a direct message. And I'm going to treat that direct message very similar to how I would treat an introductory marketing email. So I'm going to do a little bit of research about them. I'm going to try to make that email or try to make that direct message as personal as possible and see if I can get a conversation started. And so that is my approach for doing those communications on LinkedIn. For those of you, by the way, that are looking to dive a little bit deeper into LinkedIn, I can mention this. If you go to VOpreneur.com, click on the store button, and Making Money with LinkedIn is a 2-hour deep dive masterclass on everything that I am doing on LinkedIn. Everything that I teach in that class can be done with a free LinkedIn profile. That's all I have. That's all I've ever had. And that class was just updated in the spring, March, February. Maybe it was February. It was either it might have been March. I think I updated it in March, fully updated completely, because there's been a lot of changes going on LinkedIn this year. They announced a ton of stuff at the beginning of the year. So that class was just very recently updated. But yeah, go to VOpreneur.com, click store, Making Money with LinkedIn. And you can get that one, 2-hour video class. You can start watching it right away. And that will give you a lot of really actionable, practical advice for how to use LinkedIn and how to level up your LinkedIn game for your voiceover business. All right, guys, I would love to stay and continue to chat, but I've got to go get ready for a coaching session, so I'm going to jump off. But thank you for joining me on Free Advice Friday as always. I certainly appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button if you didn't do it already. If you jumped in late, you'll be able to go back and watch the replay. I'll put some chapter markers in as well, so you'll be able to link directly to all of the different things that we talked about. If you did jump in late, you're going to want to go back to the beginning because I shared some really good LinkedIn tricks at the very beginning of the live stream. So you can go back and catch those on the replay. All right, everyone, whatever you decide to do this weekend, as always, have fun, stay safe, and go find some leads.